Hello and welcome to Cattle Talk at Cedar Creek Homestead. We appreciate you watching this week, and today's episode going to talk about fly control in your cattle. I just sprayed my cattle for flies, and I've sprayed them a few times this season already, and I'm trying to get them up once a week if I can and spray them. Sometimes that's not feasible or not possible. Sometimes it's hard to get them up. But the fly control, flies are such a tormentor of your cattle. Whether you got one animal or you got 100 or 1,000, it does not matter. Flies are there. I know some say they don't have flies, whatever. I don't believe that. Some may have less flies because of things they do. There's a little swallow that you can put out nests that will help with your fly control. I'm working on that. I want to see if we can get them started here in Oklahoma where I am. They may already be here, but I'm wanting to get some of their nests put out and try to see if that would help with fly control, trying to do some natural remedies. But right now I get them up and I spray them, and if I can, I try to do it every week. Now everybody, that's not possible, but here we have the way I have my pastures set up is I rotate them, and depends on the size of the pasture. Sometimes they may stay there a day, sometimes they may stay a week, but I try to keep working them around to the different pastures to where they end up back at the cattle corral once a week. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks. It just depends on the weather and how everything goes, but when they get them back closer to home where they're near the cattle corral, I entice them in there with feed, and they come in and I spray them. I use Prolix, I believe is the name of it. There is another brand that Tractor Supply sells. They have two different ones, and they had one of them on sale a while back. So I bought a few of these. They look like about a quart size, and you mix one of those, works for 25 gallons of water. So I mix in some Dawn dishwashing soap, the liquid, into a tank, one bottle into a sprayer tank, and it seems like it causes it to stick better to the cows, and I just think it does good. I also mix it in when I'm spraying the pastures, and it seems like if you're spraying your pastures with weed killer, it'll stick better. If you're using Roundup around your yard, you know, I know some are against any kind of sprays, but you've got to do something about the flies. And fly control is very important because flies carry disease, and they spread disease. So if your neighbor's cows get sick and the flies are biting them, especially those old horse flies, they'll come and land on your cows. Also, the face flies and stuff like that just torment your animals. They can also cause pink eye. Your cow's eye will get little abrasions this time of the year from the taller grasses, and maybe if you have weeds. And so then the flies torment that and get it infected. If you get a sore or anything like that, the flies are awful. So by spraying, it seems to help. The past several years, I have used mineral that has fly control in it. But I just do not think it works. I'd feed that, and my cows were still covered with flies, and they eat a lot of it. And it was expensive, plus I just didn't see the results. And I fed Purina Wind and Rain Mineral. Nothing against them. I know people that feed it and just swear by it, and that's great, but it just wasn't working for me. It didn't seem to be. And I'd also spray them, and when I sprayed them, that seemed like that controlled the flies better than any other source. Now some say that your neighbors, if you're feeding Wind and Rain Mineral with the fly control, that your neighbors need to be feeding it as well to control the flies. Well, the closest neighbor here normally that has cows are probably 3 or 4 miles away. So I don't have a close neighbor with cattle right here. So we're really the only ones right here in our little neck of the woods. Last winter there were some a little bit closer at a place over here, but pretty much in the winter it doesn't really matter. Now we also have a disease, and I just lost a cow to anaplasm. And so anaplasm Moses, some call it. My vet just calls it anaplasm. And that's caused from flies and ticks and things like that. So I had a cow get sick. She had that. We doctored her, and she still died. Now, usually, if I get a hold of this soon enough, I'll be all right. I won't lose the animal. If I get them vaccinated, I'll take LA 300, something like that, give them 30, 40 cc's intramuscular and whatever you call it. You know what I'm talking about, where you give it under the skin and into the muscle to try to save them. And usually I will save them. If they're way out, like these are away from the house today, if you tried to herd one of these that was sick up to the cow lot, it will die on you before you ever get there. So it affects their blood cells, and they will just fall over dead. And I haven't had one do that, but I've had them get very sick and weak trying to herd them up. So I'll just get a shot and give it to them then, and usually they'll survive. And then within a month or so, I start looking to take them to the sale and get rid of them. That's the recommendation of my veterinarian, is to get rid of them once they've had anaplasm. But you could have cows that have had it and lived and never got sick. So you really don't know. And there is a vaccine, but I tried to get the vaccine last fall. Not actually was going to use it like last fall, but I had one sick, and I asked my veterinarian, and he said the vaccine wasn't available. So that the company went out or something like that. So maybe it's back in, and if it is, that's great. But you could vaccinate for anaplasm. But the fly disease and fly control is very important. I also fed mineral, and I still had one get sick last year. I actually had one get sick and die last year, so I've not lost very many, but I say I've lost at least 2 in the past 10 years, and I usually get at least 1 case a year, sometimes 2, and they'll get very sick. I'll doctor them, try to, and I have lost a couple. But anyway, last fall, or the end of the summer, I started feeding the wind, and it wasn't wind and rain, it was another brand, an off-brand of fly control that was medicated. And I ordered it from my vet. I ordered a ton of it, and I fed that out. It was a little pricey too. I still don't think it helped with the fly control, and I still had a cow get sick. So I'm just not sure. You got to make sure every cow gets it. You know, some of my cows really eat a lot of mineral. Some of the others don't act like they care about it. So this year I've decided not to feed the mineral due to the expense of that. I feed mineral, but I do not feed the wind and rain during the summer. I just feed them a block mineral like my grandfather did and everyone else did, and I'm just going to spray them. That's what my grandfather did, and it used to work for him. But anyway, you know, it also takes care of ticks and other biting insects and helps. And right now, looking at those cows, the ones that I sprayed have little, if any, flies on them. Now that lasts for a few days, then the flies start coming back. And right now, the horse flies aren't too bad. But towards the end of August, 1st of September, we start getting them big old horse flies. And if you've been bit by one of those dudes, it hurts. It hurts very bad. And sometimes you'll want to land on my back and bite me when I'm out here checking the cows, and I sure get aggravated at those things. But anyway, I sometimes will put a little sprayer on my four-wheeler, and if I see one of them on a cow, I'll just squirt it with spray, and oftentimes you'll kill them, sometimes they'll fly off. But I even do that, trying to control the old horse flies, because they get thick. But anyway, today I made a little video of the fly control, and when I was spraying my cows, I thought you might enjoy that, a little bit of how I mix the spray and what I'm using and what's going on. So just a heads up, if you're into cattle, whether you got 1 milk cow or you got 100 beef cattle, watch out for sicknesses that can come from flies, and control your flies the best you can. If you got natural remedies, that's all good and well. do the natural stuff. But with the number of cows I have here, we'd have to have something really big in nature to take care of the flies. And I've never been to any ranch that didn't have some flies. And if it get left unchecked, the flies will torment your animals, they'll lose weight, and you'll have a terrible time with them. And we hope this video helped you. This cow that died had a calf. I've kept it. I'll be showing some videos of it. It's about a little over 3 months old, and I've named it Willie. And I've got it up at the house, and I've been feeding it extra, some sweet feed, and trying to get it gentled down. And it's big enough it doesn't have to have the mother's milk. It would be better if it did, but I'm working on that. I'm out here today spraying the cows for flies and ticks and such. And in the summertime, the flies and ticks are so bad. But anyway, just show you a little bit of what I do. I've got one of these sprayers. I either bring a battery out here, bring the tractor or my little pickup there, and I'll bring it over here, hook the battery, hook it up to the battery so my pump will work. I've got a 25-gallon sprayer, and it'll reach clear across this little pin right here. So I'll spray these down good, then I'll go get the other bunch and put in here. And I do wear a little mask. It's not a respirator, but I do wear a little dust mask just to keep from breathing a lot of this in. And I use this Prolate. I have another stuff. I rotate. One time I fill the sprayer up with this, and this 25-gallon sprayer, I don't have it plumb full, but about 20 gallons in it today, and it doesn't take all of that to spray my cows, but I try to soak them down good. I'll show you what I'm fixing to do here, but I'll get this all hooked up and we'll get the cows sprayed and see if we can give them some relief from the flies. I'm gonna actually get in here with them. Probably can't hear me much with this mask on, but I just feel like anything to kind of shelter your breathing just a little bit with this stuff. Wouldn't hurt to even have a respirator, but I don't have, so I'm gonna get in here with them so I can get a little closer up to them. Come on, baby. Adjust my wand a little bit there. So. Come on, baby. Turn around. There we go. Herd them back down a little bit. Get out here. Come on. Get on down here. Come on. Get on down here. Come on. Come on, baby. Let's go.
Boy, that one's got a bunch of flies there. Kink in my hose. Come on here. Got one way up there I can't hardly reach, but I'll try that right there. There we go. Alrighty, I'll turn this little crew out here and let them go on their merry way today. Come on. If it don't rain today, that's the way it usually goes. It'll rain right after you get them sprayed. Then there'll come a big rain and wash it all down. Here comes my young bull here. He's getting his first real season of work this year. Well, see if I can get this other bunch in here. Cows are being kind of fussy in here today. The bull's kind of being ugly for some reason. Shh. Shh. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Shh. 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 Come on. No. Come on here. Mainly try to get down their backbone, but their sides and everywhere is okay. This is one of my old cows here, this little black one, Loretta. I think she's gonna have to go this year. Some of these are just getting old, but I sure hate to part with them, especially when they have you a calf every year. But Come on, let's go. Shh. Come on. Come on. Woo! Come on. Come on. Turn them back out here to pasture. They ought to have a little relief now from the flies. Ought to help.